Hello. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the infrastructure to test a new trading system. Let's start with the simple workspace. And first, I'm going to show you what the infrastructure is about, because it's not just the trading task that is involved in testing a trading system. You will also need certain structure of nodes to be cloned within the data storage section of the network, and you will also probably want to create a new time machine or chart to test the new trading system. So let's first review what the infrastructure is about so that you have a very good idea of what is required. Let's go first to the testing environment in the network hierarchy. I'm going to rearrange this so that it's easier to access. And I'm going to expand this task manager and the backtesting task. So let's assume we want to set up a new backtesting task to work with a different trading system. Okay, so this is the trading task. Now we will go to the data storage section of the network. This is where definitions on where data is stored live in the network. As you can see, the data storage has two offspring nodes. One of them is session-based data. That means this node holds the definitions of where data that is related to sessions, that is the data that is produced by trading sessions, is stored. So we have the Binance Exchange Sessions node, and the first one here is the session reference that references, as you can see, reference the backtesting session in the testing environment. Right? So this is the reference, and you can see it here in the map. So if I go back here and expand this node, you will see that there is a single market data which also has a reference, and this reference is here to establish that we're working with Binance and the BTC USDT market. So if we go to the crypto ecosystem hierarchy and expand until we see the Binance crypto exchange, and we see the markets in Binance exchange markets, then you will see that the reference in the Binance single market data is actually referencing that market and that exchange. Now, if we expand this node, we can see the 4 different data products that a trading session produces: the simulation, conditions, strategies, and trades. And these data products are the ones you need to reference from the chart in the charting space. So if we go to the chart, you can see how this works. The backtesting session timeline chart, it has the definition of the layers that you can see on the charts. As you can see, the layers have the same names as the products you just saw, and the references are pointing exactly to those products here. So it is all of this infrastructure that we need to reproduce in order to set up an independent infrastructure to test a new trading system. So you will need to work with this whole setup if what you want is to create an independent infrastructure. Why would you want an independent infrastructure? Maybe you're working with 2 different strategies in the same market, right? So when you install the market, only one infrastructure is created. But if you have more than one strategy working in the same market, you will want to be able to test the different strategies separately. Let's go ahead and work with an example. So I'm going to add a trading system, and I'm going to drag this trading system close to the network hierarchy so that it's easier to work with the session. I'm going to take it close to the backtesting session. Okay, so I'm going to leave it here for a little while. The first thing to do is, if I wanted to simply reuse the existing infrastructure to test this trading system, so you will come to this backtesting session and remove the reference to the weak hands busters trading system, which is the default how the workspace ships. If I remove that reference, I can establish a reference with the new trading system like this, and that's it. I can now reuse all of this infrastructure. If I run a back test with this trading system, then I will simply be reusing the rest of the infrastructure, and I will be able to see the simulation of this trading of this backtesting session running on this trading system over the same charts where I used to see the results of the weak hands buster simulation. But if that is not what we want to do, if we want to have a completely independent setup for both strategies, then what we need to do is clone different parts of this infrastructure, and that's what we're going to do now. Okay, so instead of using a blank trading system, what we're going to do is we're going to clone weak hands buster so that we can later have something to test. Otherwise the trading system will be empty. So let's clone this trading system. Once the clone is ready, we drop it onto the design space, and let's rename it. We will call it My System. And now we're going to start the process of cloning all of this infrastructure. First, we're going to clone this session. And let's assume that you just want to clone the backtesting session, right? If you want to clone all of the sessions, then maybe you can clone the task manager so that you have both the paper trading and the backtesting sessions. But let's keep it simple for the time being. We will clone only the backtesting session. So that was the backtesting task. I will attach it to the task manager, to the same, and I will rename it Backtesting My System. I will collapse this node. I'm not going to use it anymore. And now we have the backtesting session that has no reference because we had removed the reference before. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drag this backtesting session node close to the trading system we just cloned so that we can reference it. Now there is a trick. You can pin the node so that if you ever drop it on the way to the trading system, it doesn't fly back to its original position. So now I'm clicking on the backtesting session, and I'm going to use the keyboard to find my way to the trading systems we just created. So I'm going to go in that direction. And if I still had the reference to Weak Hands Buster, I could follow the line. But anyway, it's not that hard. Okay, so here I am next to my system. I can release here, and I can now drag the node until the trading system is highlighted. I release, and I have already established the reference. Now I can remove the pin, and the session will go back to its original place, now referencing the trading system that we want to work with, right? Okay, so now we're going to go to the data storage section and the session-based data section in the network, and we're going to clone this session reference. We're going to bring the clone to the workspace. I can't rename it. It's because the name is taken automatically by the system. So I will simply attach it here. And the name is Weak Hands Buster because this session is still referencing the Weak Hands Buster backtesting session. So what we want to do now is do the same thing we did with the trading system to establish the reference. So now I'm going to follow, using the keyword, following the reference line. I see that the reference goes to the backtesting session of the other task, right? So I'm going to pin it here just in case I release it accidentally. And I will remove the reference to Weak Hands Buster. Now see how the Weak Hands Buster name disappeared from here. Okay, before establishing the reference, let's change the name here for this session. It's Back My System. And now we're going to establish the reference with this backtesting session. That's it. So now we have Back My System, Binance BTC USDT. Perfect. So I remove the pin and off it goes to its place. Okay, so now this node is referencing the backtesting session that we want to work with. The next step in the process is create the references for these products. And the references, we want to create it to a new timeline chart, right? Maybe that's what we want. We could also set up a timeline. We could set up a timeline chart here. Let's do it as an example. Let's say we want to have both backtesting sessions for Weak Hands Buster and for my new trading system set up in the same time machine. Then what we would do is clone this timeline chart, bring it here to the workspace, attach it to the time machine, and then establish the references from the layers to the new data products that we cloned with the session reference. So this kind of setup will allow us to compare both trading systems and the simulations over the same chart, right? So if that is what you want, if you want to overlay the two simulations over the same chart, this is the setup that you would use. Now, if you want to have a separate chart because you don't need to mix things up or you don't want to, then what you will do instead is you will clone the time machine instead. So let's create that setup. We will clone the time machine. bring the clone to the workspace, attach it to the dashboard. And now that we have a separate time machine for this new strategy, we're going to establish the references from the layers in the layer manager. So we're going to drag the layer manager and all of its layers. We're going to follow with the keyword. We're going to follow the references lines. So I went a lot to the right. Now I go down and right. So here we got to the place. I'm going to pin the layer manager. Here we go to the place where the actual Weak Hands Buster session reference has its own products, and this is where the layers are referencing, right? Because we just cloned the Weak Hands Buster time machine. So we're going to remove these references from each of the layers. You see that the reference is removed. And we're going to take the layer manager where the products of the new session reference lie. So here we are. These are the products that we want to link to. So we will take the first layer and reference the simulation data product. We will take the second layer and reference the conditions data product. We're going to do the same with the third layer, referencing the strategy data product. And then finally, this one last node will go to the traits data product. And I believe that's it. Let's check if that's enough or there is something else to do. So we have, everything seems to be correct. Okay, so we're going to run a backtesting session so that we can see the results over the charts. So I will start the task. And I will start the session. Okay, so now that the session has finished, we're going to go to the charts. And as you see, we will have two separate charts. Let's go back to the charting space hierarchy and rename the new chart. Otherwise, it'll be hard to identify them. My system. Now I go back to the charts and there you go. This is my system. So now I can expand time a bit and go to the backtesting session and turn on the layers. And there you go. That is the result of the testing of the new trading system. So that's it, folks. That's how you set up a new testing infrastructure for a new trading system.